Hey everybody, for bloodhorse.com, I'm Evan Hammonds. I'd like to welcome you to After the Wire, where I'm pleased to announce that it is brought to you by EquiAid, makers of Bodybuilder and other fine natural products. It's impossible to wrap up all 15 Breeders' Cup World Championship races here, so we'll focus on some of what we perceive as some of the brighter moments. When the Breeders' Cup is held either in California or New York, the conventional wisdom is that horses shipping across the country are at a disadvantage. That was not the case this year. Groupie Doll, Wise Dan, and Fort Larned shipped in from their bases in Kentucky to win Breeders' Cup races. Trinaburg last raced at Parks. Little Mike traveled the country. Zagora, Royal Delta, and Shanghai Bobby came from New York. There were winners from South America and Europe. The one disadvantage was for any horse that didn't have good early speed and wasn't able to get over and hug the rail. In race after race on the main track, both Friday and Saturday, we were reminded of the old Jan and Dean song, Dead Man's Curve, for those who got hung out wide on either turn. On Friday's card, we were shocked, I tell you, to hear that trainer Richard Mandella had opted for the juvenile fillies with Spendthrift Farms' Brilliant Beholder rather than the juvenile sprint, where she figured to be a heavy favorite. Then we thought about it for a moment and figured out the Hall of Fame trainer was making a brilliant move. He made the right call and did a magnificent job of getting his 2-year-old filly by Henny Hughes to stretch out around 2 turns for the first time. We had a sneaking suspicion she might get loose on the lead, and she essentially was, with a 46-2 opening half and 6 furlongs and 111 flat proved well within her scope. In the stretch, when challenged by the unbeaten Executive Privilege, she had enough in the tank to repel her and win by a length. Of note here, the fillies went 4/5 of a second faster than the boys did the next day in the juvenile, won by Shanghai Bobby, who was 3 wide going around the first turn, but was able to get up to second place down the backstretch just off Title Contender. Now, as Title Contender faded, Bobby was able to get some air between him and the rest of the cast on the turn and get over to the wood. He's Had Enough, who made good headway on the backstretch while on the rail, had to wait to find room between a fading Title Contender and the fence. He lost precious seconds under Mario Gutierrez, but he had to wait. And when he got through, actually was able to put his nose in front of Shanghai Bobby. But the son of Harlan's Holiday may have been playing possum, and he had something left for the last 16th and was able to hold off He's Had Enough. Now, forget about the final 3/8 in 34 seconds. Shanghai Bobby is one serious horse. Speaking of serious ones, we can't add any more superlatives to Royal Delta or her remarkable run in the repeat in the Ladies Classic, or Groupie Doll for that matter. But other serious ones that came late in the day Saturday were in the form of Wise Dan and Fort Larned. Wise Dan has been the most consistent, high-profile horse all year long, and he capped off a great season with a course record 131.78 in the mile. Let me say that again, 131 3/5. A final quarter in 23 flat, and that came after just being off the pace of a 108-4 opening 6 furlongs. Now in the stretch, Animal Kingdom had to wait for room, and he looked like he was shot out of a cannon once he got clear, but he wasn't going to catch Wise Dan to the wire. In the voting for Horse of the Year, it's going to be hard for anybody to catch him either. In the Classic, it was all about the break, and fans of Game On Dude, me included, were heartbroken when he was not in his accustomed spot at the front of the pack early on. He didn't look comfortable, and it showed as he lost contact later with Fort Larned and Mucho Macho Man as they headed into the far turn. The stretch run of the Classic was a thriller, but the horse on the rail had the advantage, and Fort Larned held on. Now, he's a really good horse who really came into his own in the latter part of the year. By E. Dubai, out of the Whittam family's 2-time Breeders' Cup winner, Beacoa's daughter's Art Chulacia, Fort Larned will offer breeders something unique when he goes to stud. He's a complete outcross to Northern Dancer. I'd like to thank everyone for watching and also thank EquiAid for climbing aboard as a sponsor. For bloodhorse.com, I'm Evan Hammonds. Come back next week for more After the Wire.